Greetings and welcome. You're tuned into TMH Daily English News. The headlines today: a survey by the Conversion reports that the war on Tigray has left millions of people without health care and access to adequate food and basic services. The UN urges Ethiopia to address causes of religious clashes within the country, and the UN calls for an urgent seed and fertilizer aid for conflict-affected northern region within Ethiopia. As we move on to our main updates for today, the government of Tigray has called this tampering with forensic evidence the last card being played by the Abiy Ahmed regime and its Amhara expansionist partners. The government of Tigray, in a statement issued through the Tigray External Affairs Office, said that they are once again shocked by recent media reports of authorities' feverish destruction of forensic evidence to cover up their merciless massacre of Tigrayans in the western Tigray zone. The statement said the bottomless depravity of these genocidal forces and actions appear to have sadly desensitized the international community into a deadly indifference. The statement stressed, quote unquote, saying, "We call on the international community to wake up from its stupor and say enough is enough." The government of Tigray said, presented with copious evidence of their guilt, the criminal Abiy Ahmed regime and its Amhara expansionist partners are now playing their last card, which is tampering with foreign forensic evidence. If the international community is serious about its pledge of never again and holding perpetrators of massive human rights violations accountable, it cannot let the expansionist Amhara clique get away not only with genocidal campaign against Tigrayans, but also with destroying traces of evidence and establishing its guilt, as the statement emphasized. The government of Tigray also said it's time for the international community to go beyond its platitudinous expression of concern and take concrete action to ensure justice for the countless Tigrayans murdered solely on the account of their identity. The UN has urged Ethiopia to address causes of religious clashes within the country, and the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, expressed her distress by the recent violent clashes between Muslims and Orthodox Christians in Ethiopia, in which at least 30 people were reportedly killed and more than 100 others injured. In a statement her office issued today, Bachelet said the inter-religious clashes, first reported in Gondar City in the northern region in the Amhara on 26th of April, reportedly in connection with the land dispute, appear to have quickly spread to towns and cities in multiple other regions in the area and to the capital of Addis Ababa. She also noted that 2 mosques were in fact burnt and another 2 partially destroyed in Gondar, adding in the apparent retaliatory attacks that followed, 2 Orthodox Christian men were reportedly burnt to death, and another man hacked to death, and 5 other churches burnt down in Sylhet zone, in the southern nations and nationalities and peoples region. She also indicated that there was further violence on the 28th of April in Debark town in the Amhara region and Dredawa city in the northern eastern of Afar. Bachelet called on the Ethiopian authorities to promptly initiate conduct through independent, transparent investigations into each of these deadly incidents and ensure that those found to be responsible are in fact held accountable. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, urged the government of Ethiopia to address the underlying cause of the inter-religious clashes within the country as soon as possible. Law experts say the biggest threat to Ethiopia's national dialogue and nation's instability is the war that's currently taking place in the Tigray region. The law expert and the court reporter Luul Estefanos, in an article published on Ethiopia Insight, quoted political party leaders are saying that the war must be concluded before the dialogue began, and if any outcome of substance is to be expected from it. He also added that the exclusion of the TPLF from the dialogue and the restrict any steps towards ending the war and almost entirely sideline the Tigrayan population from the process as well. The article noted that the exclusion of views of a population suffering from war would certainly discredit the process, also adding weight to views portraying as dialogue as political move and designed to alleviate internal as well as external pressure. The UN has called for urgent seed and fertilizer aid for conflict-affected northern region of Ethiopia. The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, also known as OSHA, on Saturday called for the provision of seeds and a fertilizer to farmers in conflict-affected northern Ethiopia ahead of many rainy seasons. UN OSHA said in its latest situation update that the seeds and the fertilizers needed to urgently be available for farmers across the conflict-affected region and to support the upcoming planting season, which is Ethiopia's main rainy season, in just a few weeks away. UN OSHA also added that the overall humanitarian situation in northern Ethiopia remains extremely dire as the UN continues to closely work with all the stakeholders to scale up a much-needed assistance in the Tigray region, the Afar region, and as well as the Amhara. UN OSHA warned that the food and nutritional security in the conflict-affected communities across the northern region of Ethiopia will be further impacted if seeds and fertilizers are not immediately availed on time to farmers ahead of the harvest season. UN OSHA also warned that the failure to provide seeds and fertilizers would in fact result in a third consecutive poor agriculture season in the conflict-affected areas. In the Tigray region, UN OSHA said some 60,000 metric tons of fertilizer, 50,000 metric tons of improved crop, 40,000 liters of pesticides, and 34,000 liters of fungicides are currently needed in addition to vaccines, drugs, equipment, and also required for at least 20 million livestock as well. You're currently tuned into TMH Daily English News, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Hey you. Yeah, you.
Did you mark your calendar from May 27th to May 30th?
Do you have plans for Memorial Day weekend?
Yes, you do. Bring your family and friends and get involved.
We have so many fun programs and events planned for you to enjoy.
If you attended the 2019 Walla Tigrai Conference in Denver, then you know how amazing this weekend in Chicago will be.
Some of the things we have in store for you include our first Tigrai's Got Talent competition, networking opportunities, critical discussion, and
a cultural fashion show where activism will meet fashion.
Book your flights now. See you at the Walla.
Come to the Windy City.
From May 27th to May 30th.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into TMH Daily English News. As we move on to our next update, Ethiopia's inflation rate has currently hit its highest records. Ethiopia's inflation rate rose to a record high of 36.6% in the month of April and from 34% in just March. And according to the latest data released by Ethiopia's Central Statistical Agency, this inflation rate is the highest in more than a decade in the East African country. CSA disclosed that despite a marginal decrease in the inflation rate for food items, the non-food inflation has soared to 28.1% in the month of April, which is also another big increase from March when it was just 23.5%. Our final update for today, a survey by The Conversation reports that the war on Tigray has left millions and millions of people without access to adequate food, health care, or even basic services. The survey focused on response of informants from war-torn Tigray on the state of their lives amid this ongoing war. The Conversation reported that the Russian-Ukraine crisis has understandably captured the entire world's attention at risk of eclipsing the visibility of a massive humanitarian crisis elsewhere. In particular, it has muted attention to Ethiopia's current ongoing civil war, which started in November of 2020 and has caused enormous human suffering and continues to still do so. The report said millions of people have been left without access to adequate food, healthcare, and basic services. And in October of 2021, the World Food Program stated that the up to 7 million people across the world and across 3 affected regions were in dire need of food. as well as assistance immediately. Tigray continues to be under de facto aid blockade, and the survey's key findings indicated that the conflict increased food insecurity by 38 percentage points. For each battle event that took place within only 20 kilometers of households' residents, the share of households that reported being worried about getting enough food, being unable to eat any healthy foods, or even eating few food varieties increased by approximately 1 percentage point. The impact on the share of households that skipped a meal or ate less food was similar. And one more battle event in this intense conflict was associated with about 1 percentage point increase in these coping strategies. The war also significantly reduced the household's ability to buy enough staple foods and essential goods like medicine. Similarly, economic activities in urban areas were disproportionately affected in comparison to rural areas, and some characterize Ethiopia's conflict between the central government and the regional government as the deadliest war in the world at this current present time. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.